I'd like to call to order this planning board meeting of Monday, December 19th, 2022. This evening we have all 5 members of the planning board with us. Bob Schaffer is remote, so votes tonight will be taken via roll call. We also have Joe Gianowitz, town planner, and Jeff Morissette, director of land use management for the town of Westford with us, so that's great. As always, we start with open forum this evening. Joe or Jeff, do you have anything for open forum?
So 2 things. One, if anybody was to come in for 60 Pleasant Street, they have requested to continue that matter without any discussion. And also on the town website, also forwarded to you, I believe, earlier today, NEMCOG is doing their 2050 transportation plan called Revision 2050. There's a number of links in there and on the town website, again, for surveys about ways to improve transportation in the region, number of different things to sign up for, register for. So I just wanted to get the word out there. You can feel free to check out all the information they're putting together for their long-range transportation plan.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Joe. Jeff, anything from your side?
No, sir.
Great. Anything from the board this evening for open forum?
Nope.
No, just that travel came up, so I won't be local for the only one in January 9. But Bob claims he'll be home,
Okay.
so
So we'll swap
we'll
who's
swap.
calling in.
Yeah.
Great. And we'll stay consistent with taking votes via roll, so that's good.
Yep.
We're well practiced in that now. All right, seeing nothing else from the board for open forum, we'll go to the audience. If anybody's in the audience is here to speak for open forum, feel free. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to our public hearing items. And the first public hearing topic is PB 2201, and this is for 5 Makepeace Road. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Paul Alphin. I'm the attorney who represents the applicant. This is Jeff Brem with the Michael Brem Corporation, the project engineer. Since the last meeting, the engineering department and Mr. Brem's office have communicated. The engineering department is effectively satisfied with the plans. There are some proposed conditions regarding some things that need to be added to the plans, as is customary. We've seen draft decisions prepared by your staff. We have reviewed them. We had a couple of minor syntax changes. I believe those have been made. So by and large, we're satisfied with the decisions. There's the most important thing was to address the concerns of the residents of 7 Makepeace Road regarding landscaping and screening, and our clients have reached an agreement with the neighbors. The landscape plan, it was too late to submit it to the board, so we're proposing there be condition of approval that the final landscape plan be submitted to the planning staff and approved by the planning staff prior to commencement of construction. And that way there will be that obligation that a final plan be submitted and incorporated in the record at that time, because there wasn't time to get it in today. And so rather than coming back next year, we feel that's one way to address that matter.
Great. Any chance you could give us perhaps some high-level details of the discussion with the client? I know that they were here, or the neighbor, sorry, and your client. There was a conversation, I think, that he was having around the height of the retaining wall, and I think ironically he preferred a higher retaining wall, even though many would not prefer a higher retaining wall. So
We'd
can you give us the quick notes?
We'd be happy to do
Great.
that. And that's Jeff has those details.
Thank you.
Sure. Essentially, we're going to put a chain link fence on the top of the wall, 6 foot high, with horizontal or diagonal slats through that, so that it creates a privacy.
Great.
And then there were various trees that were planted on the high side of that to help protect buffers. And I believe they were juniper type trees. So that was all provided. The plans actually, like Paul said, have been changed. The neighbor who's here saw those plans. He wants to
fence atop a retaining wall?
The retaining wall was gonna be 2 feet, I think.
That was what, 2.5 or
Sorry,
something.
6-foot fence at the bottom of the retaining, bottom of the slope there.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was worried about potential setback issues.
It's a sketch, so they.
Okay. Great. The good news is your client and the abutting neighbor have come to
A written agreement.
a written agreement, and that's great. Any other details from your side that you care to share, or shall we go to?
Yeah, we're down to a few tiny, Paul mentioned we have a few things to change, they're really small, just want to go over them with you so you know.
Okay.
Correctly reflect the number of proposed parking spaces, I think there's a spot where we said 24, but because of handicap issues, it was only 23, so there's one spot number. Make all accessible spaces complying with AAB, including access aisles and walkways to accessible doors. He just wants to have us check with what we designed with the building inspector. And add the thickness of the concrete dumpster pad to the detail. So, I mean, those are pretty minor stuff.
Yep.
Just want you to realize, ooh, that we've come a long way in the last couple of months.
Yep.
And add all the variances to the front page.
And yeah, we did all these other things as well.
Okay, because the ones we had only had 2 variance requests.
Waivers, right?
Waivers, sorry.
Waivers.
Not waivers, you're right.
We've got,
My fault.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sort of waiver requests.
Yes.
All of which we've talked about before.
Right. Okay.
Was that it?
That's it. Great. Joe, any comments from town staff?
Nothing else at this point?
I guess I shouldn't, I don't want to jump to conclusions. It's the holiday season, but I don't see Paul Starrett, town engineer, with us, so I assume that we can take the applicant on their word that Paul's feeling good about the situation.
Yeah, I mean, they've had, lots of comments back and forth. As mentioned earlier, the other comments haven't been addressed or incorporated as condition of approval. We didn't get any other feedback from engineering saying that they were dissatisfied with the decisions as written, so.
Great. Fantastic. Okay. Then it's time to go to the board. Anybody care to start? Bob, would you care to offer comments first?
No, I guess I was trying to understand, with engineering not here, are we going to delay discussion of that, or does that mean we don't feel there's, they have no inputs? What do we have from them?
At this point with the, sorry Bob, maybe you didn't hear me, with the comments back and forth between the applicant and the engineering office, I feel at this point that engineering is satisfied with the decisions, with the conditions of approval that are incorporated into the decisions, and with any changes that have already been made to the plan set.
Okay. I'm fine with this one. Thank you.
Great. Kate?
I just had a question for you. You just stated you're okay with all of the conditions, but I just wanted to make sure, like on the special permit, page 11, number 5, it mentions that all the rocks for the wall that's going along the neighbor's property must come from that site, and you feel that that's doable?
Yes.
Otherwise, I would have said as much as possible or something.
No, it's fine, there's plenty of rocks there.
All right.
But also, you should know, and I think those of us that attended the sidewalk saw, there were rocks there, when all the places we dug, we never hit any rocks, they're just leftover glacial rocks.
Okay, I just,
Plenty of them, too many.
I didn't want to burden you with a condition that you might not be able to.
Appreciate that.
No, but we would be happy to accept that editorial change, though, just in case.
No, we're fine.
You tried.
Thank you.
There's a request for modification, they might be trading some consideration later, I'm sure.
So that's all I had.
Great. Thanks, Kate. Mike?
I'm good.
Great. Darren?
No, thank you for working with engineering on that. There was some issue on the groundwater and the mounding, but I guess that's taken care of, because that's not one of the things
Well, we had to go to a consultant. We used Joel Frisch. I don't know if you've ever used him before, Northeast Geoscience. We had to analyze our groundwater mound on top of the stormwater system. And we had to make sure there's no breakout at certain points. And so we did that. And he wanted a certain map differently than, we had the data, but Jeremy wanted to see it graphically shown. And that's what the last thing was.
Great, thank you. And then, I read the analysis from TEC on the traffic. Just a curiosity question between maybe Joe, and you guys can all answer this. The difference between a study and a assessment for the traffic. The assessment is a lower bar, I'm assuming, and it's just basically saying, it doesn't require us to do a study based on the expected traffic, correct?
I think he's asking you guys.
As a general point, yes, the assessment is a lower threshold than the study, yes.
So the background of this is years and years ago, there was a requirement that there be a traffic study for almost every project. And then when there was an intellectual discussion about there are certain opportunities where that would not be necessary. And so they provided this opportunity for applicants to go through this stage before requiring a full-blown traffic study.
Perfect. Great, thank you.
Thanks, Darren.
So,
Yep. My area of topic of interest was to find out if you'd reached an arrangement that was suitable for the neighbor, so you've addressed that, and I didn't have any questions on the information in the packet, so I'm similarly good. So, since we've gone to the board, open it up to the audience. If anybody would like to get up and offer any comments on PB 2201 for 5 Makepeace Road, now's the opportunity. Please, step up, state your name and address for the record, please.
Nilesh Anand, 7 Makepeace Road, and I signed this with your client, so, so I just wanted to make sure that, when it comes in the packet, so that I can see it, make sure that, it's still, if there are any revisions, I would like to review it, but that's all I can ask for.
Yep. Great, yep. Our,
Yeah, no, we will build it per the agreed-upon plan, but obviously, we have to have the plan submitted to the staff and have review by the staff to make sure that it follows procedure.
right.
Yeah, and I submitted the copy too, because Ed gave it to me, so you should have it.
Yep.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your participation through the process. Okay. So, Joe, so then we have 3 decisions to, well, we have to do that too. Yeah, sure.
Move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and second to close the public hearing on PB 2201. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike? Aye. Darren? Aye. I say aye. Okay, so Joe, we have to take action on these 3 decisions. We don't need to call out all the waivers specifically, right? I think we've arrived at that.
Not unless there was any specifically that you didn't want to grant or have a certain discussion about. Otherwise, you could make a motion to approve it with the waiver stated in the decision.
Okay?
And do we vote on motion for each or one for all? So one for
Each,
the,
right.
each,
One for each decision.
all right.
And to do this properly, based on tying this document out, we should say what, the condition of the final revision of the landscape plan, that's not a condition of approval in the documents, is it,
It could be as amended
this evening?
this evening.
Do you want to include it in that list of 3 that Attorney Alphen mentioned, where before they record it, they have to include an updated landscaping plan?
Right, well, that would be approved, I mean, they're not going to get the decision until that plan's approved through the staff and as part of that final package to be recorded.
I'm just saying, he was asking a question about codifying that they have to update it, and
So we make a motion to approve the decision as amended this evening, subject to them supplying a landscape plan to be reviewed by town staff and attached to the package?
Yeah, that's in, yeah, perfect. Okay, so this is for the special permit?
So
yeah.
Yes.
for PB, I move for PB 2201 special permit for a major commercial project, 5 Makepeace Road, that we move to approve the decision as amended this evening to include a condition that a landscape plan is included and approved by town staff prior to recording.
Second. Motion and a second to approve PB 2201 special permit as iterated by Mike. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
I say aye.
Move for PB 2201, site plan review, 5 Makepeace Road. We vote to approve the decision as amended this evening to include the landscape plan as approved by town staff prior to recording.
Second.
Motion and a second on the site plan review. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
I say aye.
I move for PB 2201, stormwater management permit. We vote to approve the decision as written and amended this evening to include, condition to include the landscape plan to be reviewed by town staff prior to recording.
Second.
Motion.
Does he need it in this one? I don't think,
No,
whatever.
it's-
It doesn't hurt, no.
Motion and a second on the stormwater management permit. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren? And I say aye.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best of luck with the project, gentlemen.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year,
Happy
Festivus.
Hanukkah,
Happy
everything.
Hanukkah, first day today, right?
First day, yep.
Second. Oh, yeah, first day.
All right. So, got us to there.
Thank you.
So that concludes our public hearing items for this evening. We move on to general business. The first item under general business is PB 2225, and that is a discussion about 60 Pleasant Street, but the applicant has requested to continue the item without discussion to January 9th, 2023. Is there a motion to continue PB 2225 to the January 9th Planning Board meeting here at 7 PM, meeting room 201 at Westford Town Hall?
And then we'll open it then?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion and a second to continue PB 2225. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren? Aye. I say aye. Our next general business topic is PB 2024, which is Colonel Rolls Drive-related requests to approve Form G, establish a performance bond, release some lots through the from the covenant, and I think that's it. Yep.
Good evening.
evening.
Colleen Hayes from Finner and Nicholson on behalf of KMR. So I have to admit, we had a ransomware come through the office.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry to hear that.
I have no documents. We could access nothing today. So
Yeah, that's rough.
we,
That's actually
We had a
my
rough
industry,
day.
and yeah, I bet. Sorry to hear
for
that.
$1 million, we could have our files back.
Oh,
Oh,
In
nice.
bitcoins, right? Yeah, of course.
FTX, is that what it is?
Yeah.
So I believe all there was today was to to accept the Form G
Yeah.
and then release the lots.
Yes. 1 second.
And establish the tri-party agreement.
Yep.
What, oh, we have to establish, yeah.
Yep. And then,
So the numbers in the packet are to engineering satisfaction. You'll have 2 Form Gs in there. One is to establish the retainage amount, so kind of like you saw with Spalding at the last meeting, they show the full build-out to establish the retainage amount.
Yep.
And then you have the remaining work at the 335,906, 32 cents.
So we have to add those two numbers, the 335 and then whatever's on that line on the other page?
no, we do them separately, right?
You do it separately.
Yeah, but then in the tri-party, we add them together, right?
We do.
You want me? So my understanding is there's 2 Form Gs. One is assuming no work was done, so it shows the full amount of work that was needed to do the subdivision and complete the infrastructure and roadway.
Yeah.
And that full amount is what the minimum retainage is based upon. So there's a separate Form G that more accurately represents the actual work remaining to do from the current state. So it's a drastically different number.
Okay, and Mr. Slager had submitted a memo with all of these items, and are they included in the second one?
So my understanding is yes, and that more accurately reflects the actual work remaining to do, and that was based upon comments received from our engineering department. My understanding is our engineering department is satisfied with both sets of numbers. The holdup was getting they brought two of the same form, and so they were getting the second form there.
So the first form with the high number, we ignore that one because most of the work has already been done?
You do not ignore it. We're looking for you to approve both Form Gs, because the higher Form G that has the minimum retainage, it's based on a percentage.
Yep.
It's based on that large dollar amount.
Yeah,
And the second one is a reflection of what work actually has to happen today to complete the work, because they've done, a lot of work.
I see.
I don't, what number goes into the tri-party agreement then?
It'll be the one that is actually the lower one.
The lower one.
So
Because
we're,
that's what actually has to get done to get it to a finished state.
so we're voting on to approve the first one, even though it's now OBE, it's no longer,
That is correct, because it sets the retainage amount. If you did not approve the first Form G, the minimum retainage, one, they wouldn't be able to accurately calculate it, and secondly, if you just went by the percentage, it would not be consistent with the amount that you want to retain to incentivize a job well done, So the percentage should be based upon the full value.
but they're going to be, the tri-party is going to be for 335.
The lower amount, correct.
228.
No, 335.
35, 906, 228.
Even though it's more than the 15% on page one.
That is
335,
correct.
906, 32.
So there's three numbers.
I know, it's just confusing.
To do it from what was the existing conditions, that's the full amount,
Yep.
and that's the amount that the percent retainage is left at. Then there's the real-world amount. Where do they have to go from today to get the job completed?
So
That's what they have to get the
I
performance.
got it, so the retainage is when the thing is completed and they want to come to town meeting.
That's correct.
That, I got it, that's retained.
That's what's held over to make
Got it.
sure that, hey, there's enough left to incentivize them to make sure they do it right. You want to make sure it goes through at least a freeze-thaw cycle.
Okay.
And that's kept until town meeting accepts.
Gotcha. It's almost clear water.
There you go. All right, then. So, all right. Is there an order in which you'd like us to do these?
The order on the agenda,
In order on
please.
the agenda. Okay, so then is there a motion to approve some Form Gs?
I move that we, for PB 2024, special permit definitive subdivision, and PB 2033 stormwater management, Colonel Rawls Drive, we approve the Forms G, for the original amount of $1,524,178.72.
Correction, please, 27 cents.
Oh, sorry, my dyslexia.
That's okay.
And the second Form G with a grand total of $335,906.32.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the two Form Gs associated with PB 2024 Colonel Rolls Drive. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren? Aye. And I say aye. Great. Performance bond.
For PB 2024, special permit and definitive subdivision, and PB 2033 stormwater management, Colonel Walls Drive, I move that we approve the tri-party agreement as provided to us for, again, Colonel Walls Drive and the Form Gs we previously approved.
Second. Motion and a second to establish the performance bond for PB 2024. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren? Aye. And I say aye.
For PB 2024, special permit definitive subdivision of PB 2033 stormwater management, Colonel Rawls Drive, I move that upon the execution of the performance, the tri-party agreement, we release lots from covenants, lots 1 through 8.
Second. Motion and a second. Oh, sorry.
May I request a friendly amendment?
Sure can.
Upon execution and recording of the tri-party? So just to add,
Agreed.
and recording.
On execution and recording of the tri-party agreement.
Great. Motion and a second as amended, friendly amendment from Jeff. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike? Aye. Darren? Aye. And I say aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with your computer.
But with that,
We were
Oh,
back
I
to
know.
primitive days
Oh,
today, handwriting and,
Oh.
yeah.
I hope you have a good backup, because that's what it's.
It didn't get through the firewall, so that's
Oh, that's good.
the good thing.
That is the good thing.
Mr. Chairman, I have a Colonel Rolls question, and I didn't know when else to ask it, except when I saw this online.
Please.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Ellen Hardy, and I'm wearing my recycling hat, although I'm no longer officially on the committee. When Colonel Rolls and all smaller private ways are approved, the selectmen and the planning board came up with an agreement, I think it was about 4 summers ago, that we did what do we do if a street is not big enough for the town's trash trucks to get down, and therefore the town says, we won't pick up your trash? And you made that decision. This is a good, sort of a poster child for that policy. And I've met with Joe about this, who was very helpful about that. But what has happened is that you say the town won't pick up the trash, but we don't have a way to decide where do those trash barrels and recycling barrels go. And another example was the one right off Providence Road, that's H.G. Adams, I believe it's named.
H.R. Adams.
Thank you, H.R. Adams. And one proposal was, you put them out on Providence Road. We need to figure out the next step in this. It's excellent that the planning board has incorporated, whether the town can do this pickup, but the next step that planning board, and I guess Steve Cronin and Highway and Recycling will work with you, is, so where do those trash barrels go? You put a little place at the end of the street where all of their trash barrels go. But when I met with Jeff and Joe about this and several other things over the summer, there was a thinking that once you'd made your decision, it sort of went back to the select board. And the select board doesn't expect that. They sort of thought the buck stopped here, that this is where the decision would be made. There's not a right or a wrong, but I think this board and the staff, working with Steve, should find out what happens next. And I'd be glad to help you with that in any way I can. Maybe there are places we've done it in town that we do have a successful prototype that we can say to developers, this is a place that it really works well. But for example, at the bottom of Priscilla Drive, it's a nightmare. They're all right there on Hildreth Street, and it's just, it wasn't planned well. Same at Cider Mill. Bring them down and put them in the roadway. That's just not the solution. So going forward, anything I can do to help, but I think we need to find out, and I would think it would be in the orders of condition, because it's the trash that belongs to the people who are going to live on this street, and therefore it's ultimately the developers. I think it's his or her issue to figure out, okay, what do I do with 8 houses? You're talking at least 16 trash barrels, and perhaps 16 or more of the large recycling toters. That's a lot of cubic yards. Put somewhere. So I don't expect a discussion. I'd be glad to answer any questions, but I just put that out there to see how we can find a policy and a procedure going forward with other private roads. Sense?
Well, thanks for the feedback, and I think it's well taken. I do recall.
I do too. Discussion on this one.
Well, we've done it with a couple. I think there was the one that was the former scrapyard where the applicant was very receptive to that condominium development.
19
On Route 110?
19 Littleton, and they put in sort of an area off of the entranceway where specifically the trash toters can go. I thought we opened this up with the developers on Colonel Rolls, and
Did.
I think it was something about the geography of the roadway there and the way that it falls up. Like there wasn't space right on the roadside, or there was something about site distance or something that was not conducive in that development to putting a piece of pavement there, Jeff? I don't know. Help me.
So there was a couple things. So first of all, whatever the planning board decides, ultimately, it's really up to the select board to say who will and won't get pickup for those services. And so we did, I think, at least beginning with Colonel Rolls, if not sooner, we,
Hartwell Lab, we did it.
yeah, you're right. So we,
I think we've been trying to work this into our process.
well, we've been trying to inform the applicants that if you don't meet these standards, expect no trash and recycling pickup.
Right.
And for Colonel Rolls, I know that was raised, and remember, they were trying to mitigate concerns of some of the abutters, and so they changed the layout to provide some no disturb buffer, I think, along that side, and in
Yep.
doing so, they said that they could no longer meet the dimensional requirements for the trash and recycling, and this board did. But of course, you run into the age-old situation where the developer wants to get their approval, they don't have to live with it, and then you have the new residents, and they're like, well, we're paying the same taxes as everyone else.
Yep.
We want our services too.
Yep.
And so, and I know this came up also recently with Anne Marique, and I think they came up with some solution, a place to put it near Carlisle Road. That has far fewer houses, though. So it'd be in relatively shorter stretch of roadway. So it's not a perfect solution, but I do think we need to do something in our subdivision rules and regs, because right now,
Right.
That's what I was
you
thinking.
don't, it's,
We don't really
your
have-
jurisdiction is
Limited.
finite.
Yeah. So we're encouraging that we want to see something that addresses trash storage on private ways, but I think to your point, at the end of the day, if things are brought up that are limiters to that, we're sort of a little bit handcuffed in that we can't, it would be inappropriate for us to maybe
We're allowed to
deny
control.
on behalf of the fact that there isn't something put in place, right?
And if it's a conventional subdivision, you have less leverage
Yep.
than, say, a special permit.
Right.
But it's ultimately, the board could conceivably decide one thing, and that doesn't prevent the select board from adding it to the list nonetheless. Just like you could have a condition that says shall not be accepted, but you can't tell town meeting what to do to accept a roadway or not.
Right, right.
Interesting, Jeff, I didn't go back and read that document before I came over tonight, and I guess I should have, but I had understood the agreement from that subcommittee that we had that summer was that it was the planning board's prerogative, that what the selectmen said was that if it is a private way, the town will not send their trash and recycling trucks down. So
That's what I
it doesn't
understand.
come back to the selectmen. If you've deemed it a private way, then the selectmen have nothing to do with it. The town will not pick it up.
Right.
But what happens is the town
Individually.
manager gets the call from the person who just bought 8 Colonel Rolls and says, I want my trash picked up.
Right.
And that's where we have this gap.
Yeah.
So I don't think it does go back to the select board.
I'm not
Jeff.
saying that it does.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're simply telling them this is the policy, while the planning board may lack the jurisdiction, they're sending you the message that if you don't meet these standards, you've got to come up with a plan B or C. B
Okay.
meaning private pickup.
Yep.
Or C meaning you got to come up with a place along a public way.
Well, even for private pickup, they have to have a place. I mean, whether it's public or private, on Colonel Rolls, there's no place to put the trash barrels, whether our contractor's picking it up or whether they hire a separate contractor. There still has to be a place for trash and recycling to be placed, irregardless of whether it's private or public,
Yep.
publicly funded.
So there's
That-
another gray area, though, where if it's not the town's contractor, they might be able to secure the services of someone who will pick it up at a lesser standard. So they might still go
For
Down
fire
the
there.
department up there.
Okay.
So, but how do we know what happens in the future? They may, and they can put whatever they want to in whatever documents when they're conveying the lots, but we don't know what's going to happen long-term.
So if the town wanted to say, for example, in a Colonel Rolls situation, it's a private way, there will be no, can the town further say, and trash barrels and recycling barrels from this development cannot go on Hartford Road?
I would defer to town council in that matter.
Okay,
I don't think
okay.
that's so straightforward.
Because it's being kicked back and forth, and the town manager has gotten stuck in the middle of this. It happened with Juniper Hill, she got the calls, and people had moved into the houses, and the town didn't have the answer. We should be professional enough that we have the answer before people buy the houses and say, where do I put my trash barrel? So, again, anything I can do to help, I'll go back and relook at that, work with the select board, but sometime in 2023, I think that would be a good goal before we, and even before the lots on the houses on Colonel Rolls are sold. What do we tell those people when they move in about where their trash and recycling goes? I don't know the answer.
This is in their homeowners association for this particular one, so
That doesn't show where the trash cans will go.
it doesn't on a plan or anything, but it does specify in there that it's
Yeah.
the responsibility of the trust.
That doesn't resolve the problem of
Correct.
where physically it goes and whether
Correct.
it's interfering with snow plowing, whether it's the town's
That,
snow plowing.
yeah, unfortunately, at this point, the homeowners would have to get together in a meeting and decide how they want to address it. Have a private hauler that goes house to house, or set up an area, or find a place on the street.
Be more proactive, Kate, to do that.
No, I agree, I agree.
Hard to carve that out, given the huge volume of
Yeah.
how many you're talking about for 8 houses. But I'll leave that to your professional.
Yeah, that's what I'm struggling with is, and I guess, so Joe, let's definitely add this as a topic to discuss when we're, thinking about complicated thoughts about our different, bylaws and subdivision rules and regulations and things like that. But what I'm struggling with is, so I live on a private way, there's only 2 houses, so there's really only 4 cans. We bring them down and they're sort of kind of on the neighbor's lawn, kind of on our shared common driveway, and nobody really complains, but it's only 2 houses. In my mind, there's some breaking point where at a certain number of houses and the critical mass of barrels that are gonna be at the street, where we probably should have some teeth, where this board can say, if you're not gonna provide something on the public way for the town trash collection to pick it up, this board has the ability to deny your application
Or
for the
to
subdivision.
condition
Or to
it
condition it
to
such that-
provide it. Like, you could say subdivisions in excess of X lots or X or more lots, we have had 2-lot subdivisions. We've even had a 1-lot subdivision. So I think if you specify a minimum number of lots, subdivisions involving those, they either shall A, B, or C, and must be shown on the approved plan.
Got it, yep.
So that's something we can do, but it has to be in writing,
Yep.
in my opinion,
Yep.
in order to have that teeth.
Oh,
I agree.
sure. Well, I look
We
forward to
will work on
working
it.
with you on it. That would
Yep.
be great. Easier at any time if I can
Thank you.
say anything. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you as well.
You too.
And you're dressed for it.
Yeah, you are.
What was it here? Thank you.
Okay. That completes general business item B. We are on to item C, a continued discussion about possible zoning bylaw amendments. So the expansion of commercial recreation opportunities is the first subpoint here. I will go to Joe.
This one's me.
I will go to Joe.
So even though you previously authorized us to work with town council to prepare some draft language for your consideration, we'd like some additional feedback.
Okay.
So I'll try to keep this short. So a few questions here. So first of all, we want to know, are you in favor of amending Appendix A, the table of principal use regulations? And I do have some, this is just the zoning bylaw map, as well as a blow-up of the Kimball's and Neshoba area. Are you in favor of amending Appendix A to allow for indoor and outdoor commercial recreation within the commercial highway zoning district with benefit of a special permit from the planning board? So this change only said, right now, the zoning board is the special permit granting authority. Would you be willing to be designated as the special permit granting authority to consolidate that review process?
I don't have a problem with it. Say it one more time, please.
Yeah, but please.
Are you folks willing to be the special permit granting authority for commercial recreation for the CH zoning district instead of the zoning board? And that way, it's one public hearing process instead of 2.
Why are you limiting it to just CH?
We're taking baby steps here. I got more questions.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Are you, we're also asking some questions that were in that online survey for commercial recreation. would you be amenable to commercial rec in the commercial highway zoning district as of right, instead of by special permit? Knowing that if any of the standards for major commercial project got tripped, it would automatically generate a special permit requirement. So as a reminder, the standards for that are 15,000 square foot gross floor area, more than 100 required parking spaces, or generation of more than 200 vehicle trips per day, 250 vehicle trips per day.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bob?
Because I think most of them are going to trip it anyway, so. Bob said yes.
Oh, he did? I'm sorry. All right. Are you in favor of allowing commercial recreation in the industrial highway zoning district by either special permit or as of right through planning board? And as a reminder, the zoning map is there. Industrial highway is largely up and down Littleton Road, along with commercial highway, and it also includes Liberty Way, which came out very strongly in the online survey for commercial rec, as well as some areas along Powers Road, one side.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
Do you feel differently in terms of the as-of-right versus special permit for that particular zoning district?
Are you
Special
getting
permit.
everybody's opinion? or
I'm
are you-
trying to, yeah.
I'm okay with,
Well, you got
with the
2 yeses on the
special.
last question, and then you moved on to your next
Oh,
question.
really? I thought someone nodded and,
Nope, she pointed to the industrial highway. You got 2
Okay.
yeses, and then you moved on. You are trying to keep it brisk tonight, which I
I am
appreciate.
trying. So back up then. So how are we with that then?
Okay, so that was in the industrial
Industrial
highway,
highway.
and you asked a twofold question, which is either by right or by way of special permit.
That's correct.
Then I will say yes.
Okay. Now, do you feel?
Wait a minute. So it's by right if it doesn't meet major commercial and?
No, I'm just saying, are you open to that district?
Yes.
If you're open to that district, do you want it to be by special permit or as of right?
We haven't heard Bob. Can Bob answer that question?
I think Bob can.
Bob, why don't you answer the industrial highway by right or by special permit?
I'm more in favor of special permit. I'd like to understand, the conditions, but I prefer seeing the special permit process since it gives us more control, and we don't have to worry about the what-ifs at this point.
Okay.
Okay, so I think you got 4 yeses and a yes if it was by special permit on the industrial highway question.
Are there any others that are leaning towards special permit for that?
I'm open to either, I'm sorry, with the
I'm-
condition
yeah.
of if it trips the major commercial
Yeah.
Projects. would be
project.
So, okay, thank you. Now we're going to just a few other zoning districts. What about the industrial A? Now the industrial A, that has a lot more opportunity to be near some residential abutters. So we think if you were even open to this, it makes total sense, in our opinion, to be by special permit. That pink one, sort of in the
The low-
Tatmuck area.
Behind, it's a swamp behind.
Yeah, I
Junkyard.
don't think that's practically developable.
Yeah.
I think it's burdened with a lot of, some might say blessed with, some may say burdened, but
Is that part
wetland
of-
resource
is that-
areas and/or,
Oh, that's on that side, yeah.
Junkyard.
Junkyard.
It's undevelopable almost.
Essentially.
I would forget that pink blob, but the other pink blobs.
What is that off of?
The largest one is by Route 40.
So that's like Newport Materials on the north.
No,
These little guys.
this is,
Is that by the hair place that they voted to do?
this one I think is Millworks.
Oh.
That's a different district.
Millworks is orange. Is the,
Oh, no, they're orange, okay.
That's the
Yeah.
industrial B.
Over here, right?
Oh, so, yeah, so that's Sergeant Mill and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, the
The pink.
pink in Graniteville is Sergeant Mill?
Yep. So 12, 10, North Main, 67, 69 Broadway probably is that cluster. And then Bridge Street, the side with the tracks. And then the rest is predominantly along, I think, Route 40 Groton.
A little bit along.
There's a few weird ones, I don't know the history there, where they're residential lots that have part of their lots.
All right, so the question before us is industrial
Quarries in
A
here?
by special permit or as right?
No, we're only asking special permit, we're not that crazy.
Yeah.
We think there's too many residential butters.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay if it's by special permit only.
Would you want to include the Graniteville part of it, or would you want to just, I mean, that would make it an overlay district if we said we didn't want to include, you want me to shut up, sorry?
No, I want you to think just big picture for that zoning district in general, knowing that you have special permit and some discretion to say no.
Special permit only, because you also have that one down by the highway that
Yeah.
if you didn't have a special permit.
So, Bob, were you amenable to IA
By special permit only.
by special permit? Okay. And then what about the industrial B zoning district, which is,
In the middle
Joe
works.
pointed out Millworks.
And there's also one in Nab,
Yeah.
by the railroad
That's
tracks.
near my house.
Nice rank at Dylan's house.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, Powers Road is near my
Turned
house.
that old throw star into.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
I think
That's where that is.
Yeah.
That's the Frostar building, or now it's the condos.
So, the chance of,
Yeah. But I would say, again, special permit.
special permit.
okay?
Bob?
Yes, I agree.
Darren, are you okay with that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right, we're winding down here. Industrial C. This is a little more, so think Merrill's
Merrill.
Quarry,
This
off
brownish-
Makepeace.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, basically that's, yeah, the top right corner, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd say no, just because it's a pain in the neck to get to.
Unless you live near there.
True. Well, that one would service people in Tingsboro more than Westford. And that was part of one of the questions, or a lot of the comments.
I say yes again by special permit only.
Yeah.
Consistently to those small industrials.
And with the same requirements if it trips major commercial project, I would say.
What about you, Bob?
I'm fine with the through special permit process.
All right,
I
so-
understand getting to it being difficult is one issue, but the concern there would be traffic flow.
Yep.
And that would be dealt with special permit.
All right, so that's 4-1 by special. Okay, we're done with that part. So now we just have a, because if you look to the second sheet, if you look at the Kimball's and Neshoba area, you'll notice there's basically 3 different underlying zoning districts that comprise the Kimball's and Neshoba properties. So, I'm not sure it stands out there, but, oh, wrong. Yeah, you have your own handout for this. So,
They're both half and half, huh?
so Kimball's,
Yeah.
and don't forget, I always almost forget, the northerly side of Littleton Road, Kimball's has land over there too. It's IH and CH. The first 200 feet of Kimball's on the south side is commercial highway, and then that Residence A is Kimball's. I believe all of that CH over there, going south, yeah, and going towards Powers Road is all tied to Neshoba Valley Ski Area. Kimball's also retains some industrial highway a little on the east. Yep. So you can see there's different base districts, and so we would not propose Residence A zoning district, even with special permit at this point. So unfortunately, for this area, an overlay district probably makes the most sense. And with that, we could also do some things like we have, what was that?
He coughed.
Sorry. You could also, in an overlay district, authorize some uses like that you think would be accessory to a large commercial recreation facility, like a restaurant or some retail, something. For some reason, winter commercial recreation is allowed in some areas, but not in some districts that you would think, why not? So it could be a way to allow some of those uses in that overlay.
Yeah, for instance, winter commercial is not allowed in commercial highway or industrial highway, which is what like half of the Neshoba is.
So the thought would be to allow indoor, outdoor commercial recreation, maybe winter commercial recreation, and the uses that the board might deem likely to be in harmony, or if, you're gonna have hundreds of people there, they gotta eat at some point. Stuff like that, where you can review that. So you're amenable to that
Absolutely.
sort of approach?
So then, you're proposing that this overlay district would just be for those two? Or would it be include more along 110?
If you think it should include more along 110, we can do that. However, if it along 110, if it falls in the CH or the IH, it's already going to be covered by just those tabular changes to Appendix A where you say by special permit or as of right for CH. But the problem is both Kimball's and Neshoba have a Residence A base zoning district, and we don't, as much as we don't want overlay districts, the only way to get around that is to change the base underlying zoning district there, or to create a new district, and now you have to deal with either those property owners potentially losing out on some development rights, and we're trying to help them, we don't want to hurt them. And the other thing is you could be giving some, maybe people wouldn't be keen to see either IH or CH more along Powers Road there, so we think an overlay where you can control the types of commercial recreation uses that can come in and the accessory uses that make sense without opening it up to other districts.
And again, if you created the overlay district, it would be, I think, with the same caveat that it would be for special permit.
It's fine. It's up to you, folks.
It
could be either.
If we're requiring a special permit for the other,
So let me just ask a question. So if we allow it commercial highway by right, and we put the overlay over it, we would need a special permit because of the overlay? 'Cause
They
it
could,
supersedes?
if you set it up that they need so first of all, if the property is commercial highway zoning district, they maybe wouldn't need potentially a special permit if the proposal is limited to the commercial highway zoning district on their land. See what I mean? But if they're proposing something that straddles into the Residence A zoning district, then that would need the overlay district to allow that use without a use variance.
Right, so, yeah, okay.
So on the one hand, it's like, well, if we're calling it a commercial recreation overlay, why do they need a special permit? But on the other hand, it could be something large enough that it's going to be an MCP anyhow.
So, can you help me understand, so that there's parcels here on this blown up thing that are
Just
surrounded in,
Kimball's,
this is Kimball's? No.
that's Kimball's.
Kimball's is all
No,
this. I
no,
thought.
no, this is
this is,
Robbins
yep.
Road and all that.
But this is Kimball's, this is Kimball's?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, and this is Kimball's, obviously.
Yes.
Yep. And this is Kimball's, right? No?
Not
No.
the far edge.
Okay. Then what is this outlined in purple? Does that delineate not Kimball's property?
No, that's a different overlay. I think could be the medical marijuana overlay district. That's right. Ignore that.
Right, okay.
And all of this is the ski area.
Right, that's correct. Now, a lot of the blue, some of the blue is definitely less burdened with wetland resource areas and maybe some CRs.
So the question that I have for you, and I just wanted to understand that, is, and I understand why Kimball's might not want to do this, but would it, rather than considering an overlay district, and I'm not necessarily opposed, but could we not just consider rezoning the parcels that Kimball's has so that they were also commercial highway, and if commercial highway has by right the ability for recreation, that would solve the problem?
So, speaking with counsel for Kimball's,
Yep.
they would not object to rezoning the Residence A to commercial highway.
Okay.
And again, only the first 200 feet is commercial highway, but you're gonna go through commercial highway to get to the Residence A, so
Yeah.
probably not a big deal.
Yep.
But what do you do for the Neshoba side?
Would they be opposed to that?
Well, they probably would, they might not be opposed to going from Residence A to commercial highway, but how do you feel if you are a residential abutter near there?
Right.
And what is now Residence A is going to commercial highway? So when you look at some of the uses allowed in commercial highway,
It's beyond just recreation.
it's beyond recreation.
Got it.
And then even if you were to extend the industrial,
So commercial highway, you were extending
yeah, you
industrial
could, the
highway.
IH,
Is that spot zoning, though?
what's that?
Is that spot zoning?
I don't believe it would be spot zoning, no. So, but the other issue is if it became IH, that has some uses that maybe some neighbors nearby there maybe wouldn't appreciate, but it also, I think, doesn't allow for residential development either. So, it's not so simple. The IA is probably a closer mix that still allows some residential. It has some industrial, but not the full range that the IH does. So it's not a simple problem, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to get some input from you folks before we go spinning our wheels.
I like the
CH
overlay
and-
thought, just because it would require discussion about whatever is gonna go in there, right? So as opposed to
Yeah.
just rezoning it, then we'd say, it would kind of be out of our hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are
I
a
just am-
there are a bunch of houses on Powers Road across from the ski area.
I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer at all. I'm just trying to think about, we're starting to get into this mode of we're creating a lot of overlay districts, right? So do we in 10 years have a mosaic of overlay districts and we've just changed the zoning problem to an overlay problem and what's permitted in these parcels? Because these parcels are now part of 3 different overlay districts and you know what I mean? I'm just trying to think.
So there's
some, I guess.
There is another approach. We've been thinking about this. One could potentially say, so for Kimball's, maybe the simplest thing is just to take the Res A and turn it to CH.
Yep.
So it's all CH. You're not really taking away practical development rights. For Neshoba, you could potentially create a new base zoning district for commercial recreation that mimics the districts that's there now, say the Residence A, and if there's another, district, and only add the uses like you would to the overlay
Yep.
to give them that.
Gotcha.
So there are a lot of ways to go there.
And rezoning requires.
Still town meeting vote, yeah.
But again, you have the problem with the spot zoning.
Yeah, yeah.
and-
Right, so, but spot zoning typically denotes usually a small tract of land, couple acres or less. It's to the perceived benefit of the property owner, but to the perceived detriment of the surrounding property owners. And so this is substantial acreage. So I don't think this would qualify as spot zoning, in my opinion. But there are some ways to go about it, and then what happens if, say we take something to town meeting, because a lot of this is very straightforward, right? It's just amending the use table. It's, if we do an overlay, it gets messier. So what happens if we say you can do commercial rec by either special permit or as of right, depending on the district? But what happens if, say, there's a separate article to change the base zoning to CH and it fails for whatever reason?
Yeah.
Or we have a separate article to change, create a new base zoning district for commercial recreation to, change the RA to RA really plus the commercial rec component, you know what I mean? And say that fails. So you'd either have to stagger the things at town meetings so you know what happens, and that if things don't come to pass, then maybe you have an option for the overlay if it doesn't work out, if that makes any sense. So it's a little
Yeah.
convoluted.
Plus, if you create a new zoning type, then potentially some of these other large parcels that aren't developed, they could go before town meeting and ask to be rezoned. to those.
They could.
Good. But it would still take town meeting vote.
Yep.
So that's why we're trying to get.
But it would give them a mechanism to potentially
Yeah.
do something with their parcels that wouldn't be included in the overlay district.
True.
So we're just looking for your thoughts.
Not opposed to the overlay district, just, you know.
Others?
I agree. I think the overlay district's probably the way to go, but
Yep.
I also agree that hopefully we're not causing problems down the road.
Yeah, creating a bunch of overlay districts that.
Or overlapping overlays.
Exactly, and they're like, well, what if we
Overlay on
just-
top of an overlay on top of an
What can you do
overlay.
here? Well, not much.
I don't know, is it more flexible if we have an overlay versus if we just rezone it or propose rezoning of it?
Again, if we go with that approach, then, I mean, in an ideal situation, we wouldn't have an overlay.
I think we can more control if we design the overlay
Yeah.
and put it to as what we want it.
You can. So for instance, you could say in this particular overlay going from Littleton Road to Powers Road for those two larger properties, you can say you get to do these uses and these accessory uses that maybe the other locations don't necessarily get. So it is an advantage to them.
Ice cream and skiing, right?
Yep.
So we're just trying to get your thoughts on how you'd like to approach it, because we could very quickly put something together. I mean, the tabular stuff for a special permit or as of right, that's easy. It's the overlay, and it's not a heavy lift, but we would rather come out of the gate with something not inconsistent with your desired approach. Both property owners are supportive, for sure.
Needs to leave soon, should he opine?
Yeah, Bob, do you have any comments here?
No, I'm just listening. I'm good.
When do you have to leave?
I'm actually good. I have 5.5 hours to flight time.
Oh, okay.
Flight's later than I thought. It's an hour and a half later than I thought.
I guess the only problem potentially with an overlay district is if there are some large parcels, to Kate's point, elsewhere in town. But I guess we could add those to the overlay district later, right?
You could, absolutely.
All right. Okay. I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah, I like the overlay approach.
Okay, we will pursue that.
And I changed my thoughts on the, you would ask, because CH was first, and I would want CH to have the same requirements as like the industrial highway and the other ones where it would require a special permit, because I think,
Okay, so that's going from 5 to 4-1, because you want special permit. Okay. Just marking down. So,
I think anything that gets built is gonna have to be a special permit anyway, so.
potentially, if it's a small,
Well, traffic.
right, but I'm just saying, like, say there's an escape room type thing. You know, that might be,
Is that considered,
well, it depends whatever the commissioner calls it, but if that's, say, commercial recreation, that's probably low intensity.
did the one on Littleton Road have to get a variance?
I don't recall at this point, honestly. I don't know.
I don't remember.
But I'm just saying there could be some low-intensity commercial uses that wouldn't come close to tripping.
I think we have to define what commercial recreation means.
Well, there is a definition for indoor-outdoor commercial recreation, but we can certainly take a look at if that needs to get beefed up.
Because, I mean, if you read the comments on the survey, people have a certain thought as to what it means.
Yeah.
I don't think they would, like, playing chess would be, even though it's recreation, whether that would qualify.
Well, the funniest thing is that the indoor-outdoor commercial recreation doesn't even actually require that there be a commercial component to it, so. So I think we got some very good feedback from you folks. I don't want to take up more of your time, but the last question is, if this is simple and straightforward, do you want us to put a placeholder for this annual town meeting?
I'd say yes.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
guys have the time to work
Yes.
on it.
Okay. It's just that once, we're gonna have a short lull for the MBTA, and, you know, once that starts,
All bets are off.
right. And we know we have other things we're working on, too.
Yeah. So let's try to.
Okay,
let's
we
try to
will
get
do
this
that.
one- yeah.
Thank you very much, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to the second part of item C under general business, which is a potential creation of a tiered site plan review system. Is this one Joe or?
This is Joe.
Joe.
I'm obliged to kick this off with some theme music as requested,
Okay.
because it's kind of like a game show, if you will.
So we played this game before.
Yeah. So now you have 3 cards. You used to have 4, now you have 3. We took out the not sure card to make you have to make a decision whether or not something is administrative, a minor, or a major site plan review.
Okay.
So we have a few more scenarios for you. We tried, based on the feedback you gave from the first round, to kind of tailor it towards.
And that's these?
Yes, some more nuanced questions.
Have you read these
so we
already?
can really try to decipher. Yes, you haven't seen them.
The gut reaction we're going
I'm
for.
as in the dark as everyone here.
If you have
Okay.
any confusion about it,
Okay,
just
so we're
let us-
gonna read through these. We're gonna hold up cards, and then we're gonna ask Bob for his opinion before we say what we're holding up, yeah?
Correct.
Great. All right, this was a fun game the last time. We'll try to keep it fun. Okay, so does it make sense to go back over what these mean? So administrative means staff review only, no planning board involvement. If we vote minor, that means planning board public meeting, but not a public hearing process. And major is a planning board public hearing, okay? We will be reading these scenarios, and then all of us will be holding up our cards as far as what we think that scenario, how it should be handled under a tiered site plan review process.
I'm curious, I want to hear the names. Remember the names last time? I thought they were very creative. I want
Yes,
to look forward to them.
yes. Well, you're gonna love the first one, I can tell you that. Okay, scenario number 1. After a couple of years in business, Homer is moving his donuts bakery business to a new location and is selling his current building. The prospective buyer, MacGyver Inc., is looking to convert the restaurant space into a manufacturing space with a small storefront that offers retail sales to the public where people may come in and buy the products that he has repurposed. No expansion of the building nor changes to the parking have been proposed. So do I stop there?
Stop
And then-
there.
Okay,
And then we
okay. We ready?
Kate, Darren, Bob, what do you have?
Bob, so what are your thoughts on that one?
Minor.
So 4 minors.
Are they both allowed in the same zone?
We're going with the yes.
Yes, we're going with yes.
Okay,
That's
if
unallowed.
they're both allowed in the same
All
zone.
right.
Wait.
All right, so that was unanimously minor, was that correct?
I guess so.
You're keeping the tally?
Yes, I'm keeping the tally, and I have to do another sound effect now because you all are now unanimous. Where, who?
All right. We have an item A, so sub-item A. What if the building were to expand by 500 square feet? Wait, do I have to ask each of these?
Well, we have to see, is there a threshold where you would decide it goes
What if the
from
building was
minor to
planned to be
major?
expanded by 500 square feet, people of the board?
How big was it initially?
So initially, there was no expansion.
No, but how big was the building?
It
If
does
it's
not
500
say.
square feet,
Oh,
or is it 50,000 square feet?
they're trying to pen us in and we refuse.
Well, let's just say it's a bakery business. Let's just say it's,
I imagine it's pretty big with a storefront.
Yeah. It's the size of a donut shop, so.
I don't know, commissary for a bakery is pretty big.
high-level thinking here, people.
It's a bakery, so I think we all have been in a bakery before. We know approximately the square footage of a bakery, right? So now you're saying they want to knock down a wall, add 500 square feet. Bob?
I'm assuming all the other conditions are the same in terms of parking requirements staying the
Correct.
same?
Yes, correct.
So under that, I'm willing to stay with minor.
Right. So,
Okay, so in that scenario, we had 4 minors and a major.
major. Yep.
Okay. Also, Kate's kind of locked in. So then we go up to, what if it's 1,000 square foot expansion?
Here we go.
Okay, so now we're expanding by 1,000 square feet. Bob, what if it's 1,000?
I'm still on minor. I mean, I'm all about the parking and I'm all about the foot
Okay,
traffic.
so we're still 4-1. What if it's 3,000 square foot expansion?
At some point, it's got to kick in on the parking.
What?
What is, what,
3,000's,
yeah.
Wrong card, right?
oh, yeah, yeah.
So 3,000, we're going from 4-1
Okay,
to 3-2.
so Bob, at 3,000, are you minor or are you going up to major now?
I'm not sure I think these questions are tough to me because
Make all the proper assumptions.
as long as the parking and foot traffic staying the same, I'm willing to stay with minor.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So now we've gone to a 3-2 vote. Darren jumped into the major camp with Kate at 3,000 square feet. And then the last option here, under item A here, 1, is 5,000 square foot expansion. Again, no other variables changing, although this one does sort of stretches the, like, this is a hard one to
Yeah,
buy,
no, you
because how
can't-
can you be,
you
how
can't-
can you be getting that much bigger and not expect there to be any more traffic?
Very large parcel. It already has a lot of parking.
Well, I'm crossing over at 5,000 square feet.
There's got to be workers. I mean, I'm trying to figure out the workers.
You're thinking too hard.
Overthinking.
You're overthinking it.
So if everything else stays the same, they just put a big expansion on so they can
I'm
put
staying
an
minor.
atrium for butterflies, right?
So what did you say, Bob? I'm sorry?
I'm staying minor.
Three minor. Okay, so 5,000, it goes to 2 minor and 3 major.
Yeah, I think with, it's a good point. I mean, if there's not more requirement for parking and pedestrians and employees than everything else, it could be
If you buy the scenario that it's
just an addition.
Right.
And nothing else changes, then I would stay minor then.
Wait a minute. That last vote was 2-3? 2 in favor of
There's a
minor?
maybe over there.
Oh, there's no not sures. We're done with
I
it.
didn't, I went changed. I'm not,
He's
I'm
back to
not
minor
sure,
now.
I went minor.
Back to minor. I thought you were.
He went to major on
last time.
3,000.
I just changed.
He did, so now you guys have to figure out, if it's only a 3,000 square foot expansion, he's on major, but if it's 5, he's back.
But you have to think this is for a bakery with a store.
Essentially, I was just trying to get at, do you,
No.
You're effectively,
There's some number.
you're doubling the size at that point, right? A bakery's
Yeah.
probably about 5,000 square feet to begin with, at most, right? So you're talking about doubling the size of it? I mean, I still think at that point, we gotta have a.
Okay. I think we got what we needed.
Okay.
But
so then part B, if you want to go to part
Oh,
B.
yes, B. So what, okay, so same initial scenario, we've got Homer moving his Donuts bakery, MacGyver wants to move in, no expansion of the building nor changes to the parking have been proposed, but now scenario B is, what if the building were to remain the same, but the parking lot was expanded by 5 spaces? Bob?
Administrative, minor, or major?
Can I ask how many park spaces were originally there?
No, you're overthinking it.
Unfortunately, you're not allowed to know that because it doesn't say how many he has.
I'm going to stay minor on this one.
So we got 1 minor and 4 administratives. What if it's expanded by 10 parking spaces?
Oh, crap.
I mean, I guess.
Bob, you still on minor?
Bob, are you on minor for 10 spaces?
I'm on minor.
Kate
Yeah.
is torn.
Kate is torn.
It all depends on the situation.
Okay, go with your gut.
All right, we're still
Okay.
4-1.
And then the last option here is 15 spaces.
Bob?
Well, I'll be nice to Bob.
I'm on the fence here about major.
If you had to pick
I'm gonna say
one, what is it, Bob?
I'm going to go with major on this one.
311, okay.
I do think you're putting us in a difficult position, not, like, that's not really a fair question to ask without knowing more about the proposal, honestly.
I don't know the percentage. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
5 on
Yeah, is it
20 or
is it 5 spaces
five.
now going to 15? Again, that's a major consideration to traffic flow versus it's 45 spaces and you want to add 5, 10, or 15.
I know,
You know what I mean?
I
It's
know.
like,
And there's residential butters, I don't know.
yeah, exactly. Okay, moving on.
Well, then you should have picked minor.
Well, the good news is we've completed item number 1. Do you have any fun music for that or no? No? Just
Not on that one, because there was numbers all over the place.
All right.
Oh, we should have.
We have item number 2. We're transitioning to the second scenario, everybody. Dale has purchased Daytona Driving, a motor vehicle service shop specializing in stock and modified cars. He proposes to keep the use and parking the same, but wants to demolish the front facade and rebuild to reconfigure the doors and windows. The existing parking is adequate for the use.
So he's just modifying the outside of the building.
Yes. He
The way
proposes to
people
keep the
get
use and
into
parking
and
the
out
same,
of-
wants to demolish the front facade and rebuild to reconfigure the doors and the windows. Bob?
Bob?
I know it's early.
This is really tough. I'm going to say, I don't know, administrative minor. I'll go with administrative.
There we go.
That is unanimous then. We're all on administrative.
Finally.
Okay. That's
All right.
very rewarding. Okay. We're on to, there's no A's and B's on this one. Number 3, Gordon wants to add a second story to
This
his...
is a sexist thing. Where's Susie Q?
Okay, I didn't write these. Okay.
Go on, go on.
Gordon wants to add a second story to his high-end restaurant to allow a space for private events, still restaurant use. The addition would be constructed with the existing footprint, within the existing footprint of the building. There is enough parking on site to accommodate this increase in square footage. No other changes are proposed.
So essentially
Okay.
they're building an addition, but it's going up.
Yep. The building in addition, going up, adding a second story, it's all within the existing building envelope and no changes to parking.
And septic isn't our problem.
Exactly. Okay, so Bob.
Major.
Wow, major, okay. So we have 1 major, 3 minors, and an administrative.
That's out to minor.
See, last time I was the nest. I was the very conservative one last time.
We have a triple split decision here.
Yep, that's a
Take
triple
the
split.
take the median.
Okay, so then we have a scenario A here. What if the parking lot needed to expand to meet the parking requirements? Would your opinion change depending on how many spaces need to be added? So, I guess...
That's it.
So I guess, what if the next one is clearly a discussion. So what if the parking lot needed to be expanded? So the same scenario, but he also needs to expand the parking lot. Are we ready?
It doesn't say. It says, what are our thoughts?
No, that's a second question in the same thing. So I think it's the scenario, he's going up in the same footprint, and he needs to expand parking. Kate, you haven't selected a card yet. I really need you to do that before I go to Bob.
Well, Bob was already a major, so I don't think, Bob's...
Yeah, Bob, I guess you're sticking with major, huh?
Well, I'm thinking
You were
all
already
of
on
them.
major, you're not coming off Major Mountain.
Because, are there going to be requirements on utilities?
Overthinking. Just go with
Kate.
your gut. Just go with your gut.
Gut reaction.
Just go with your gut.
Okay.
3 majors, 2 minors.
3 majors, 2 minors.
Excellent.
Sounds like Charlie's hockey game.
You're trying to come up with cut and dries, and there are no cut and dries.
So listen, so three of us already on major don't need to answer the second question under A, which is, would your opinion change depending on how many spaces need to be added? We should go to other folks who voted minor. So is there a threshold, gentlemen, at which point there's so much parking that it goes from minor to major, in your opinions?
No.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
Even if it's 50% or, well,
Said no.
They said no.
okay.
Okay. You don't want to just let that stuff go.
I know.
Just let it go. Okay.
I know.
3B, what if the addition triggered the threshold for a major commercial project?
So getting back to the original, all right, so now we're all.
Bob already was on major, so
already on
Bob's
major,
already on
so-
major. So hey, music.
Oh, music on the side. There you go.
Okay, we're on to number 4. To address some supply issues, Acme Industrial proposes to extend their hours of operation to add a second shift to their industrial operations. The property is located within an industrial district and there are no residential abutters. They're going to extend their hours of operation to add a second shift. Bob? Acme Industrial wants to extend their hours, yeah, so they can have a second shift. Administrative, minor, or major?
Minor.
So we have 3 minors and 2 administratives. Okay? And there is one option here. What if this was also a previously approved major commercial project? Bob, if it was a previously approved major commercial project, do you change from your vote of minor under the base scenario?
Well, I'm not allowed to do what if, so I'm going to say minor, but I would be concerned about what the orders and conditions might have been for that project.
Okay. So under that scenario, you still have 3 minors and 2 administratives.
Okay.
Do we get some music for our consistency in that split decision?
No.
Bring more music next time. Okay, all right. Okay. All right. Number 5, Jimmy, spelled like Jimi Hendrix, which is awesome, has a temporary structure to, oh, this is very good. Jimmy has a temporary structure to serve as an extra storage space for his lumber company, Hendrix Wood Stock and Supply Company. He is looking to replace the temporary structure with a permanent structure on the property. The structure is approximately 500 square feet. As the new structure will now have a foundation, there is an increase in impervious area. We have a temporary structure. So replace it with a new one. 500 square feet has a foundation. Okay. Bob?
A major?
Okay.
And
And
Darren?
we have 1 major, 3 minors, and 1 administrative. Okay. All right. That's it. So 6, we're on to number 6. There's only one more after this. Well, we've got some conditions here. All right. Ivy currently owns a garden center and is proposing a 1,000 square foot addition to the rear of the building to showcase exotic, dangerous plant life. No other changes to the site are proposed. 1,000 square foot addition.
No changes to parking.
That's an interesting.
Well, I have to be consistent with my last one.
1,000 square feet.
What did you vote on the 1,000 square feet for the bakery? For the bakery that turned to manufacturing?
I didn't move up until 5,000 square feet.
Bob?
I'm going to go with major on this one.
Okay, so we've got a major, a minor, and 3 administratives. Hit it, Joe. All right. We have an option A with number 6. Would your opinion be dependent on whether the area where the addition is proposed is currently pervious or impervious area?
So what if it was paved?
Already.
Already.
So
So do you care whether or not you're adding impervious area or
I mean,
not?
I guess you're really only asking that of anyone who didn't vote administrative, right?
Or I guess if you did
No,
vote
no.
administrative, would your opinion change if you found, like, doesn't matter to you vote
Oh, I suppose, yeah, you
administrative?
look at it the other way.
So are we, is it saying which one it is?
No, just whether.
No. Doesn't say.
Would your opinion change one way or the other, is the question.
Well, yes.
Let's be, why don't we just, what if it's paved and they want to put a structure there? How would you
Versus
vote?
it's unpaved and it's gonna be in addition to impervious?
Right.
I don't know.
What happens if it's impervious now and you put a 500 square foot structure that's
I'm
impervious?
still, I mean, having voted administrative, I'm still gonna vote administrative. That's a less
Yeah.
impactful change.
I'm
What do we
just-
have? One, two, how many?
Bob has to vote.
So Bob, do you come down, because you said major, do you come down from major if the area that would have the 1,000 square foot expansion is already paved?
That alone, no.
Okay.
That alone, no, whatever that
No.
means.
He's still,
I'm
he's,
concerned about the stormwater management and, just the ability to retain.
Yeah.
That the dangerous count. So I think the example's too simple for me to change.
Okay.
Okay. And we have a triple split there, is that right?
that is a triple split. That's one major, one minor, 3 administrative.
All right.
We are on the final one, number 7. Mr. Khan is the owner of the Commercial Plaza Outworld. The building features a vacant 1,500 square foot unit that used to be a professional office. The owner would like to use this area as a business incubator space where entrepreneurs that are looking to try out their new business ideas could enter a short-term lease agreement. Mr. Khan will require that each tenant finishes their lease between 90 and 180 days.
Read that again. So what was it
Yeah.
originally?
Mr. Khan is the owner of Commercial Plaza Outworld. The building features a vacant 1,500 square foot unit that used to be professional office. The owner would like to use this area as a business incubator space where entrepreneurs that are looking to try out their new business ideas would enter short-term lease agreements. Mr. Khan will require that each tenant finishes their lease between 90 and 180 days.
So it's just a use change.
Bob?
Administrative?
Yes. Yeah. That's unanimous. All right. Okay, so there's an option A. Option A, Mr. Khan has received an inquiry from Sub-Zero Food Truck who would like to sell frozen treats at Outworld for a period of 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. The truck would be removed from the property at the end of each day. Comments from public safety and health officials have been addressed. Ice cream truck's coming, Bob. What are your thoughts?
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure.
It
Sure.
broke up.
So in addition to on top of the conversion of this 1,500 square foot unit that we all said administrative to, Mr. Khan has received an inquiry from the Sub-Zero Food Truck who would like to sell frozen treats at Outworld for a period of 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. The truck would be removed from the property at the end of each day. Comments from public safety and health officials have been addressed.
What was the original zoning of this property?
Commercial.
That's a great question, Bob. A question for which we don't have the answer.
Well, since it's business, it would have been commercial.
Office space.
Yeah. Unless they have a use variance, but sure, yeah.
I'm going to go with minor.
Yeah, it's,
3 admin, 2 minor.
yep.
2 minors, 3 admins. And that's a game show, folks. Thank you for playing at home.
Brought to you by Turtle Wax.
So hopefully, I guess a couple of them added some clarity.
We got a lot of good information tonight. Thank you very much.
All right. So, that concludes our general business
But if we
topics.
do that, if we create this, the administrative would always have as a caveat, however, if in the opinion of staff, they would like to up it, they have the option.
I think that's totally fair. I think it's a good safeguard, because we can't premeditate all set of circumstances and
Exactly.
things we might want to move up, but we would have to include that in the bylaw amendment. Otherwise, we,
Yep.
Okay.
For example, if staff was concerned about the dangerous species of plants, they might want to have us hear about it as well.
yeah, as long as it was within your jurisdiction, sure.
That sounds more like the health department.
Do we have minutes?
We do,
Yes.
we do. So that's, yes, so we are done with our general business topics. We are on to correspondence reports and updates, which includes a review of draft minutes. Is there a motion to approve the planning board meeting minutes of November 21st, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on these minutes?
Nope.
No, I'm not going to correct one grammatical. I decided nah.
All right.
You can let us know. We can.
It's at the very end, a was should be a were.
I like that. They have to find it now.
I think I think it's right at the end, I forget.
We can just make that change, Kate.
Yeah.
Okay. Bob, any comments on the minutes?
No.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve these minutes. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
I say aye. Those are the only minutes. There was nothing else in correspondence, reports, and updates. Unless anybody has a topic, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
And I say aye. Thank you very much for
Have
those
a
tuning
safe
in.